Pakistani airstrike in Afghanistan's Khost province on Monday has killed 9 children and a woman. Now, the Taliban government in Afghanistan has said Pakistan additionally also carried out attacks in the Kunar and the Paktika provinces, injuring 4 other civilians as well, which takes, in fact, the toll up to 14. Now, this comes after a Pakistani diplomat in Afghanistan met an Afghan provincial leader to address growing tensions. My colleague Vishal Vivek joins us for more on this. Vishal, continuing escalation we're seeing there between Kabul and Islamabad, despite attempts at thaw there. What's the latest you're picking up?
Well, this is yet another chapter, Arjun, in the ongoing conflict between Pakistan and Afghanistan. We saw in the recent past that there was some sort of a ceasefire deal that was reached between both the nations, but that was not binding, and the fighting has continued. We've seen in the recent past that just yesterday there was a terror attack on one of the largest military installations inside Pakistani territory in Peshawar, which Pakistan blamed on the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, which in turn is blamed for being financed by Pakistani government. And Pakistani government now is saying, Afghanistani government is now saying that these fresh strikes on the Afghan soil have killed at least 9 children and 1 woman. And there was another set of strikes in the bordering region of Paktika and Kunar. So these are some of the most restive regions in the whole area. But we have not seen the tensions simmering down, even though there's a technical ceasefire deal. So Pakistan so far has not officially responded on the allegations made by the Talibani side. But these back and forth strikes have been going on. Afghanistan has been blamed by Pakistan for harboring the TTP terrorists. The ideology that Taliban has with TTP is similar. So on those lines, Pakistan has been harping the same tune for a while now.
Vishal, a very important point you raised there, a disturbing point rather. 9 children the Taliban is confirming that have been killed in these Pakistani airstrikes. What more are you gathering on that front? Has there been any response whatsoever from Islamabad taking or not taking responsibility for these killings?
But the last time I checked, it was just a few seconds ago, Pakistan had not responded to these allegations. And these are some of the gravest allegations that we've seen or heard in the last 4 or 5 weeks. In October, there was, almost a full-blown war between both the countries. At least 70 to 80 people were killed on both the sides. There were some really heavy exchanges of fire continuously for many days that resulted in a ceasefire negotiations. That was, negotiated by Turkey and Qatar. That doesn't seem to hold, but we'll have to wait for, confirmation as to how Pakistan responds on this.
Well, thank you so much there for putting all of these worrying developments in perspective. The human death toll keeps on rising despite these negotiations taking place between Islamabad and Kabul. Meanwhile, we shift our focus to Eurasia now, where at least 6 were killed and several more injured in a wave of Russian attacks on Ukraine's capital, Kyiv, early Tuesday. Now, striking residential buildings and energy infrastructure alike, according to video footage and local authorities as well. Now, this very interestingly comes right after talks between US and Ukrainian representatives in Geneva on Sunday and Monday as well about a US-Russia brokered peace plan.
Так і там. Воно не остановиться. Мені так кажеться. Ніякі переговори – це одмазка від бідних людей. Нічого не. Я навіть не знаю. Нема слів. Одне пишуть, а своє роблять. Так і там. Воно не остановиться. Мені так кажеться. Ніякі переговори – це одмазка від бідних людей. Нічого не. Я навіть не знаю. Нема слів.
And we stay with the region, viewers, where Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has in fact told an international summit in Sweden that it is, quote-unquote, a critical moment to support his country amid US peace plan negotiations. Now, this comes as European Union leaders on Monday met in Angola to discuss the situation in Ukraine. This came on the sidelines of a summit with the African Union scheduled to take place inside the country. Now, the 28-point Trump blueprint drawn up by the US to end the nearly 4-year war has sparked alarm in Kiev and European capitals alike. Meanwhile, here's what Zelensky said.
Of course, we all continue working with partners, especially the United States, and look for compromises that strengthen but not weaken us. And we will continue explaining how dangerous it is to pretend that aggression is something one can simply overlook and move on.
In South Asia, US President Donald Trump has announced that he will travel to Beijing in April following a phone call with his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping. Now, Trump has also invited Xi for a state visit to Washington later next year, signaling a clear renewed push in US-China engagement. Now, during their call, interestingly, their second interaction ever since meeting in South Korea's ancient city of Gwangju for the APEC Leaders Summit only a month ago, the two leaders discussed key global and bilateral issues, including trade, Russia's war in Ukraine, fentanyl trafficking, and tensions over Taiwan as well. Our relationship with China is extremely strong, Trump declared on his Truth Social platform. Meanwhile, China's state news agency echoed the positive tone, urging both sides to, quote, maintain momentum, unquote, and advance ties based on equality, respect, and mutual benefit. Over in the West, the US on Monday has formally designated Venezuela's Cartel de los Sols as a foreign terrorist organization. Now, the US has laid additional terrorism-related sanctions on the group, which it says has paid includes President Nicolas Maduro himself and other high-ranking Venezuelan officials. On the other hand, Venezuela's government has rejected what it calls a ridiculous US plan to designate the non-existent group. Stay with Venezuela, where President Nicolas Maduro has said that his country would not be deterred by the US psychological war after multiple airlines canceled flights into the country on Monday. Speaking on his weekly television program with Maduro Plus, alongside Venezuelan Minister of Transport, Maduro warned that for whoever breaks these rules, there are laws. The two Venezuelan airlines announced on Monday the cancellation of their flights to and from Venezuela, joining 7 international airlines now that have already suspended operations. Now, this follows a warning from the US Federal Aviation Administration, or the FAA, about alleged risks of flying in the country's airspace. Here's Maduro for you.
A Venezuela no la va a detener ninguna guerra psicológica. Los derrotamos en la guerra psicológica y en la guerra económica. Venezuela lo que va es para adelante. Si te puedo decir aquí entre nos.
Adelante, presidente.
Y el que se coma la luz, hay leyes. El que se coma la luz. El que entendió, entendió. Ministro Velázquez, ya sabe, es con usted, ministro de Transporte. El que se coma la luz, la ley. Que la ley garantice la luz.
We now shift our focus to Africa, viewers, where the highly Gobi volcano in Ethiopia has erupted for the first time in recorded history. That's correct. The long dormant mountain in the Afar region began to send ash sky high on Sunday. India's DGCA, meanwhile, has issued an urgent advisory after ash from Ethiopia's highly Gobi volcano drifted across multiple countries and entered India over Rajasthan. Airlines have been ordered to strictly avoid all ash-affected routes and altitudes, and also to adjust flight plans. Now, ash plumes have risen nearly 14 kilometers high and are expected to pass over northern and eastern India before making their way across to China around 7:30 p.m. Indian Standard Time this evening. Thousands of people attended the funeral organized by the militant group Hezbollah for its top military commander a day after he was killed in an Israeli strike on a southern suburb of Beirut. Supporters walked by Haitham Tabtabai's coffin draped in the group's yellow flag, as you see right there on the screen, and as it was in fact carried through the crowd through the streets of the capital city of Lebanon, Beirut. Now, the burial of Tabatabai and two other members took place in a cemetery of Beirut, where Hezbollah fighters are traditionally laid to rest. Here's a reaction.
يعملوا غارات شو بنعمل يعني بس انه نستسلم تيفوتوا على بيوتنا يعني شفت بغزة شو صار شو عملوا ما عملوا شيء.
Lee Se-young's Seoul-based Free North Korea radio, or the FNK station, has tried for 2 decades to give real-time news to North Korea's 26 billion people. However, Lee said that she now feels a sense of crisis about her work, as the big government-financed broadcasters in the United States and South Korea itself have fallen silent this year because of big funding cuts and policy changes. All radio and TV sets are fixated to state-run channels in North Korea, but defectors testify that they modified their radios or even used smuggled ones to covertly tune into foreign broadcasts. We get you more.
그래서 저희 탈북민 입장에서는 이런 라디오 방송을 중단한 거에 대해서 되게 미국 정부라든가 대한민국 정부에 대한 불만이 늘어나죠. 이렇게 2,300만의 북한 주민을 버리는 거냐 이런 생각이 들죠.
Philippine authorities have detained 7 suspects and several more were being sought in a major corruption scandal involving flood control projects. That's right. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has said on Monday, as he tried to quell public outrage over the brazen anomalies that in fact have implicated powerful members of the Philippine Congress. Now, massive corruption has been blamed for substandard or non-existent altogether flood control projects across the country, especially in the poverty-stricken countries long prone to deadly floods and extreme weather. Switching gear, after being elected in a landslide last year, Britain's Labour Party government has delivered a budget it built. As a one-off dose of tax hikes to fix public finances, get debt down, ease the cost of living, and of course spur economic growth, the need of the hour now. Now, a year on, inflation remains stubbornly high, the government borrowing is up, and the economy is turgid. Now, the annual budget due on Wednesday itself or tomorrow is expected to bring more tax hikes in pursuit of the same elusive economic boom as we've been hearing about. Meanwhile, UK Treasury Chief Vishal Vivek will make tough but right decisions, unquote, in her budget to solve major issues. We get you more.
And the Prime Minister was always known to be vulnerable to a potential challenge next year after what looked like some very difficult local elections. Both Starmer and Reeves are really unpopular in the polls, but a couple of weeks ago, a rather ham-fisted attempt to flush out conspirators by Number 10 seems to have rebounded to undermine Keir Starmer's position.
From London to Western Europe now, where traditional Christmas markets opened across Germany on Monday, drawing revelers to their various wooden stands. Security, meanwhile, has been stepped up with memories of 2 deadly attacks on Christmas markets still fresh for many Germans. For perspective, viewers, last year 5 women and a boy died while many were injured in a car ramming attack on a Christmas market on the 20th of December, to be precise. That lasted just over a minute. The attacker, well, he's currently on trial. Colombian authorities say 17 minors linked to the extremist ultra-Orthodox Jewish sect were rescued on Saturday in northern Colombia. Now, the joint operation from the Army, Migration and Child Protective Services participated in the live raid on the Lev Tahor group, where 5 of the minors reportedly had Interpol yellow notices issued by other countries. Now, the Lev Tahor and Orthodox Jewish sect viewers had allegedly only recently settled in that area of Colombia. French pollster Doxa has predicted that 30-year-old far-right leader Jordan Bardella would win the next presidential elections in 2027, no matter who his opponents would be. Now, after surveying 1,000 people on the 19th and the 20th of November, according to Odoxa, the current president of the far-right National Rally, or the RN party, and heir to long-time leader Marine Le Pen, would garner more votes than anyone else if a presidential vote was held this very week in France. News from the land down under. Australia's Senate on Tuesday suspended far-right Senator Pauline Hanson for 7 sitting days. Now, why did it do that? Well, after she wore a burqa to Parliament, as you see right there on your screens, as a political prop in a long-running campaign. And what's the campaign? To ban the Muslim garment in public. The political stunt has drawn sharp criticism from lawmakers who have accused her of both racism and Islamophobia. Hanson, meanwhile, wore the burqa in the upper house on Monday after she was denied permission to introduce a bill banning burqas and other face coverings in public spaces. The head of Sudan's Rapid Support Forces, or the RSF, said late on Monday that his paramilitaries would immediately enter into a 3-month humanitarian truce. Now, this comes after the US President Donald Trump said last week that he would intervene to seek an end to a war that has plunged the country into famine. The court, meanwhile, earlier this month proposed a plan for a 3-month truce followed by peace talks. However, the RSF had accepted the ceasefire. It eventually launched drone attacks. The upcoming visit of Pope Leo XIV to Lebanon has rekindled a glimmer of hope in the small, crisis-battered country. Now, the visit is set to begin on Sunday. It comes as a part of Pope Leo's first official foreign trip and also as the fulfillment of a promise made by his predecessor, Pope Francis, of course, to visit Lebanon, a Muslim-majority country where about a third of the population is Christian. We get you more.
I will ask him to pray for Lebanon a lot because we need a lot of prayers, and we need a miracle for this country to continue. Another thing, I will beg him and I will appeal to him to continue pushing that this case does not go like any other cases in Lebanon.
The Trump administration will shed about 317,000 employees this year alone, a figure higher than previously estimated by anyone. The director of the Office of Personnel Management, Scott Cooper, said that the US government hired 68,000 workers this year. Now, both figures are larger than the estimates Cooper gave earlier this year to begin with 300,000 for employees leaving and 50,000 for new hires. Brazil's Supreme Court upheld former President Jair Bolsonaro's incarceration on Monday. Now, this came after he admitted to trying to break his ankle monitor this very weekend while still under house arrest. A justice saw the action as an attempt to escape and avoid a 27-year looming prison sentence for leading a coup attempt. The 70-year-old was arrested and kept in a cell on Saturday at the country's federal police headquarters. The former president is set to begin serving his 27-year jail sentence for attempting a coup to remain in office after his 2022 election. More than 100 homes have been damaged after a tornado touched down in a residential area outside Houston, authorities in Texas said Monday. However, no injuries were reported. Photos and drone video, meanwhile, posted on Facebook by the Harris County Precinct 4 constable showed roofs with shingles ripped off. The damage affected the Memorial Northwest neighborhood, according to the office of Mark Herman, the constable. Now, the Houston Fire Department has also dispatched 5 members of its SWAT team to cut up and remove toppled trees, spokesperson Rustin Rawlings has said. The National Weather Service, meanwhile, has issued a tornado watch for southeastern Texas, including Houston. A woman in Thailand shocked temple staff when she started moving in her coffin after being brought in for cremation. Wat Phra Prakhong Tham, a Buddhist temple in the province of Nonthaburi on the outskirts of capital Bangkok, posted a video on its Facebook page showing a woman lying in a white coffin in the back of a pickup truck, slightly moving her arms and head as well, leaving temple staff bewildered. Pairat Suthop, the temple's general and financial affairs manager, has told media persons on Monday that the 65-year-old woman's brother drove her from the province of Phatsuklok to be cremated. He said that they heard a faint knocking coming from the coffin. According to Pairat, the brother said his sister had been bedridden for about 2 years now, with her health deteriorated and she became unresponsive, appearing to stop breathing 2 days ago altogether.